Hi everyone, I'm Alex, program assistant for this year's edition of Singapore International Film Festival. Could you guys introduce yourself? Let's start off with Kath.
Hey, hi guys. My name is Kathleen. I'm a filmmaker, and right now I am doing a horror short film that's gonna come out in maybe July.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rifyal Giffari. I am a writer-director right now, just gestating on a couple of ideas on scripts for the next short or feature. Depends what happens.
Hi, my name is Calleen. I am currently full-timing at Finding Pictures as an animator and a designer, but I'm also doing my own film on the side. So yeah, my next film will be with the NIFA Film Facilitation.
Hi, I'm Shannen. I've transited out of film directing. I'm currently a freelance video editor. Yeah.
And lastly, we have Giselle.
Hi, I'm Giselle, and I'm a screenwriter director from Singapore. I just graduated from LaSalle. Yeah.
I've watched all of your films, and I love how this program is filled with really rich and different modes of capturing a sense of realism, be it through different modes of genre, through the use of different mediums. I noticed a common thread of neglected parents in Roots, Flowers and Fruits, and To Kill the Birds and the Bees. So I would like to ask, I think firstly to Rifyal, what's your inspiration behind the story? Why do you want to make this film?
I think one of the main things that I think in the film that you see is the main character walking home from school, and she looks into the jungle or forest and sees something there. And that came from my own childhood, coming back from primary school. And there's just this area near my house that had a tangle of trees and vines and stuff. And a lot of stories around that area of wild dogs and things that live there. So that terrified me as a child, and carried it with me until this kind of bore fruit.
And regarding the titles, you have a very interesting title. So I see it's in English it's Roots, Flowers and Fruits, and in Malay it's I did a Google Translate, and it means the shadows of the ancestors. Why do you choose a more metaphorical name for the English title, and a more, I guess, to the point, in your Malay title?
I mean, I will definitely say part of it is just a little bit of fun for me, just to make that little bit of difference, so that each viewer coming in has a little bit of different reception. Not to sort of neglect someone who doesn't speak Malay, but to give someone else something different. Metaphorical, yeah. I mean, I also couldn't really express it properly with the English thing. I mean, it sounded a bit more obtuse or kind of pretentious when you really translate it into shadows of the ancestors and all this kind of stuff. It just sounded extremely epic and a little strange to impose that on the film when it didn't have that sense in a weird way. So, but Bayang Bayang Nenek Moyang it just sounds nice as well. That's another part of it. I like in making sure that I enjoy my own sort of titles when people say it to me. I'm not recoiling at it. But yeah, I think there's a historicity and a tradition that I was trying to play with, but also adjust and put into the future a little bit more with the idea of folklore and the stories that we have. Yeah.
All right, that's great. Yeah, and I think coming back to neglected parenthood and children finding their own way through life. So I think this is directed to Calleen. Yeah, inspiration behind your short film.
Yeah, so actually my short film, the very first inspiration was stemming from kind of females' anxieties, especially towards sexual harassment and assault. And I think slowly through the research and also basing off personal experiences and stories of people I know, we kind of expanded it into this bigger story of this lack of conversations about sex in Singapore, especially in terms of formal education and and all that. Yeah, and I think a lot of the whole neglected parents thing is also, I mean, it's kind of based on personal experience as well. I mean, you're living in Singapore with And a lot of parents here are always like working parents, or they are quite detached from a lot of their kids growing up. You're always in the caretaker of care of like a helper, or the kids will grow up alone. So yeah, in that sense, I drew some of those inspirations and put it into my film because I felt that was quite an important aspect of why the state of our conversations about sex is like that, because there's just so little parental figure in our lives as well, growing up to guide us properly through that. And even if they're usually quite awkward about it. So
yeah, and I think speaking about neglected parents again, like in Shannen's film, maybe can you share your inspiration for your short film?
For me, I think like watching coming of age stuff, I always couldn't relate to the Western one because of our cultural differences, and I think most of the ones that I've seen from Singapore either portrays like poverty or rebelliousness, something that's very intense. And so for me, this was kind of like a cathartic experience to kind of capture my experience or my peers' experience going through secondary school as like a normal kid, someone who, like, our parents, because we don't do anything that bad, our parents don't care about us because they think we're good. I just really wanted to capture that in my film.
Right. Yeah. I actually, definitely see something fresh and new in your depiction of like teenage adolescents. So moving on. So let's include Kathleen and Giselle in this conversation. So the first thing that struck me about your films are that the very opposing different kind of aesthetics that you guys chose. Kathleen, can you share more about how what drew you to this? Like, what made you want to tell a story about a baggage claims worker?
Okay. First of all, I think my main character, right, it was more like a representation of everyone during the pandemic, or it could be like everyone in this entire world. So it was a first person story, but at the same time, I wanted everyone watching it to feel like they are Auntie Oh. So yeah, I mean, being a baggage claim worker in an airport, you come across so many lives in a way, and I think for that character, I wanted her to kind of feel lonely in a time of the pandemic where like a once bustling airport is now empty, and that kind of feeling that nothing will go back to normal, that the pandemic obviously have made us all feel that way. But at the same time, I think by the end of the film, what I wanted to say is like, even though things come to an end, there's always like an unspoken promise that it will go back to normal, and you will feel all these cathartic feelings of holidays and new adventures and things like that. Yeah.
So regarding your dream sequence, like was it based on like, did it come off started from like personal experiences, or like it's more like, what if like this character could go to France, Paris, or Hong Kong? Yeah. So
the three like places I chose was definitely inspired by my own holiday. So I've been to the three places. For you guys who haven't watched it, it's about this luggage claim auntie who kind of stumbles into this like surreal world in lost luggages. So holidays of the past. So she's playing like different people. And so the three countries I chose was Vietnam, France, and Germany. Yeah. So I've been to all those places, and I think in each country I felt a different feeling, and I went through a different adventure or growth even. So yeah, definitely inspired by my own holidays and even own memories I've experienced.
Yeah, I think it's very illuminating of like, the visuals that you and the stuff you chose to depict in the film. So in comparison to like Giselle,
I think when I was making the film, like I was going through a lot of like personal grief in my life, and sounds so cliche, but I didn't really know what to do with the film. Like I wanted to do something that related back to my life, but then like I think with grief, I realized a lot of the times like you don't have answers or like logical rationale thoughts to it. And but the thing about a lot of films that deal with grief is that they tend to try to be like a message film or something. But I didn't really want to make a message film because I I didn't have any answers to anything. Like I just wanted to make a film about being prisoner to grief or like memory, and a film that reflected what I was agonizing over a long time. And like through that, I hope it brought comfort to other people. So like about
Locations.
about our take to storytelling, it was me and my cinematographer Clyde, like we enjoy landscape films a lot, so we wanted to make a landscape film almost. Like we really love the impermanence and emotional quality present in like spaces and places, and we decided to keep like the cinematic means to a minimum, and all the shots are static except for the one at the breakwater, and it only moves because the characters do, and almost all the shots are from a distance. So I think this came from like a shared desire to contain and not create emotion that I wanted to evoke. Yeah, so I think I wanted the audience to not so much like understand the character's grief, but to find their own loss in like the distance and the space. So I wanted like them to not interfere with the lives of the protagonists, so that things can just play out, and we could the composition and the pace to just show the inner feelings of the protagonist. Yeah, I think with the film I didn't really want to show like huge passions and climaxes, but more of like tiny pockets of emotional resonance here and there, because I realized with real life, like that's how it is.
Yeah, I did find the locations to be really beautiful, and I think speaking about your film, so I think, and the title of your film, there's also two titles, EE and Time Flows on in Strange Ways on Sundays. So I mean, like, I think comparison can't be helped, but I thought about Edward Young's EE as well, but it's a different EE. So it's like 1-1, but yours is could you explain the meaning behind your title for EE?
I think what Rifyal said was really great, is that I wanted the titles in both languages to be different, so everyone who speaks a different language or like comes to the film finding their own meaning in it. Like I think that was what I wanted as well. And for the English title, I just thought like I always felt like time on Sundays felt a bit weird, and I'm not sure about the rest of y'all, but Sundays were always like just a weird day to me and my family. So I wanted to encapsulate that, like being stuck in some Groundhog Day almost. Yeah. And for the Mandarin title, I think I consulted my mom and she came up with it, and she has no idea who Edward Young is, but I'm a huge fan of Edward Young. So it just fell into place. Like EE in Mandarin is like almost like a forlorn kind of longing. So I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. So yeah, I went with it.
That's great. Yeah. I'm always fascinated by titles, and
same.
So okay, I want to go back to Shannen. So I want to talk about the boys' relationship. Yeah, I think like what I like about all the programs, like it's very subversive. Like the films are not what you expected them to be. Like same for To Kill the Birds with the Bees. So I think back to Shannen. I like how you depict the boys' relationship. Like how do you manage to get them to I guess play off each other, like, or like, I guess everyone's drawing from their own personal experience as a teen. So how do you direct them, the boy actors?
I think like what led me to write it like that is that, I mean, I have a lot of like guy friends, and I'm always amazed at how guys can see, to me as a girl, like to see them do, like they can just talk and suddenly connect. And so this question is funny to me because it didn't take me that much or so to get them to be like that on set, I think. And so what I tried to do was to make sure I casted like younger people. And so one of them, the main character, is a kind of a streetcar. He is, below 20. And then the other one was like a more seasoned actor. And so I didn't have to do much for that camaraderie to come out, I guess. Yeah.
I guess this I open up this question to everyone. Like, so what do you think Singapore cinema could be, or like what do you plan to see Singapore cinema evolve in the next few years?
I mean, the diversity is one thing that I'm probably like a big fan of seeing, because not just like diversity of like people, the filmmakers and the crew and stuff, but also right now, even in this program, there's a wide range of genres and forms. Like obviously, I think Yi is the one that is the most formalistic type of film. But then, I mean, just to use my own, it's very much a hodgepodge of genres, traditions, and stuff. And it's nice to see like that sense of like bravery going a little bit weird from everyone. Not just I'm not like conflating myself and just praising myself for doing that. I'm saying like it's helpful, it's encouraging for ourselves as well to see that, and then we are able to sort of like give ourselves license because we see other people do it, and it's a sort of license and sort of like push for everyone.
Yeah, speaking about like pushing and boundaries and like different mediums, I'll go back to Calleen. Yeah, like so like how was the process of like animating the film?
Process of animating the film.
Yeah.
Animating is always a pain. It's tiring. I mean, yeah, animation is just a process of just repeatedly drawing the frames and trying to act out and like put it into your drawing and everything. Yeah, it's a really long process. I think we took forever to finish the film.
Yeah, definitely. It's much more than like I think live action. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's just really just drawing and drawing repeatedly.
I think we all feel your pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, all right. So like let's wrap it up. So like just like what do you envision Singapore cinema to be in the next few years? Let's start with Kev.
I think older stories told in different ways. And I think to your previous question, I don't think there's anything that we should strive to see or to be, but like just make your own things that are genuine and comes from the heart. And I think that's the right direction already.
All right, Calleen?
I think definitely more subversive stuff coming up nowadays. I also know a few like upcoming projects and they all seem really pushing like the boundaries kind of films. But that's really cool to see. And I think I'll speak for animation scene especially, because I think we have a lot more leg room to play around with. Because in animation you can just like get away with a lot of things. So I think that's fun to see that the animation scene here is also like growing a lot like bolder, like what Kathleen say. Yeah.
Shannen?
Do you have a good answer for this?
That's right.
The previous answers are already down. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't think I have a good answer. Yeah.
All right, no worries. Giselle?
I think much more inclusive, like what the rest have said. I've seen projects that are coming up that are a lot more subversive to like what we think that is the max that can be done with stories. And I think what Kathleen said is really good. Like stories will be repeated, like definitely, you know, there's like a universal truth to a lot of core stories that are done in cinema. But as long as it's personal and special, unique to you, then your voice will come through to these stories. So yeah, I have a lot of hope for the future of cinema, especially in Singapore.
And Rifyal?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of like round off what they all said, just more films in general. Just not worry about what type of films you're making, as long as you want to make them and have the support around of people around you. Just keep making films and not worry about like the status of Singapore cinema and all this kind of stuff. You should be focused on your work and making it as good as possible. And yeah, everything else let the critics and historians kind of do their job.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, it's great talking to you guys.
Yes. Bye.